Today I'm going to talk about why Honda Civics have been such popular cars. Now Honda's pretty much a typical classic Japanese corporation. They started by making something, then they started perfecting it. Kind of a perfectionist culture, but hey, if you're buying one of those cars, it's a good thing. Take the original Honda sold in the United States. When I was a kid, one of our customers at my father's Texaco gas station had one. It put up a whopping 31 horsepower. And it was a tiny car with a 2-cylinder air-cooled motorcycle engine stuck inside it. But Honda, being a classic Japanese corporation, evolved their cars. 31 horsepower in that old one. In a new 2020 Civic Type R, they put out 310 horsepower. Fascinating, that's exactly 10 times as much as the original one. I wonder if they planned it that way. Now this particular one is a 14-year-old plain Honda Civic, 4-door. And what are the Hondas known for? Their engines. This one's got a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine. Puts out 140 horsepower. Plenty of power for a little car like this. But this one gets 36 miles a gallon on a highway. Now yeah, it goes down in the city. This customer's getting about 27 miles a gallon in town. 36 on a highway for a car that's 14 years old. It's decent gas mileage. Especially when you consider how fast these things are. And considering that it's got 132,000 miles on it too. And they've always had a nice setup. They got a big old tack in the middle. And then you go up to the top, there's a speedometer. You can easily see all the gauges, and it's set up rather neatly. And for a small car, seats in the front aren't bad. There's a reasonable amount of space in the back too. It's not tiny, like my Celica is. After all, it is a 4-door car. And sure, this one's got a few bashes and it's been through a few wars, but it still rolls down the road quite well. And for a small car, it's got a pretty deep trunk. They have a tendency to perfect things over years. They've been working on these Civics a long time, and they've really pretty much perfected the small transportation car, much along the lines of the Toyota Corolla. Only the Civics, they're much faster. They handle a lot better. That's why a lot of those kids race racers and put those little farting mufflers on the back. Because they are quick and they handle quite well. Now sure, it's a basic car. It's only got drum brakes on the back and these cheesy Honda hubcaps that are braking. But hey, it's not a race car. If you want to pony up for a new Civic Type R, yeah, you're going to get 4-wheel discs. Those things are set up for racing. They are fantastic vehicles. But the normal Civic, hey, it's like the perfect transportation car. Like I said, the Corollas, yeah, they're quite a bit slower than these things are. Honda was rated as the top manufacturer for engines. They had the least amount of engine-related problems of any manufacturer, and Toyota was number 2. So they do make excellent engines, which not only have power, but they can run a long time. I mean, this one's only got 136,000 miles on it. I've seen them with 350 and they were still running pretty good. And they sure are a lot better looking than they used to. If you check out the original Hondas, whew, man, they're ugly little boxy cars. These things are pretty sleek. Now, I personally like them with standard transmissions because they're even faster, but this one has an automatic. My customer here has never had a problem with the transmission. I've had many customers with the Civics with automatic transmissions, and I haven't seen any real failures in them. Now, if you're talking about the Honda Accords, the bigger engine, the bigger cars, yeah, they're notorious for hitting automatic transmission problems. But the Civics, no, they're a smaller, lighter car. Like I always say, Honda really is great at making smaller cars. Small cars is what Honda really has perfected. Now, I've never personally owned a Honda other than a Honda CB750 ages ago that was a screaming motorcycle. But my customers with Honda Civics are all extremely happy with the cars. Whether they bought it brand new and drove it for 20 years, or some of them bought beat up looking ones for 500 bucks and drove them for 5 or 10 years with not having to spend too much money fixing them. As long as they are willing to live with the bashes. Bodywork's never cheap if you want to do it right. So now you know a little bit more about Honda Civics and why, if you're looking for a fast, reliable, good gas mileage car, you might think about getting a Honda Civic. Even an old used one can still have tons of life left in it. Okay, we got an almost new 2022 Honda Civic. Now the dealer kind of took advantage of them. They had them for about $4 grand more than what the list was. He paid $24,040 out the door. That includes $1,095 destination, which to me is BS. And it says 40 miles a gallon. He just got 40 miles a gallon driving here from Kansas, so it's not lying. As you can see right here, it is 2-liter. It's naturally aspirated. It does not have a turbo, but it does have a CVT transmission, and the owner says now he's used to it. But I haven't seen any problems with them yet. I'm not really a CVT fan, but everyone's going to them. 40 miles a gallon on the highway for a zippy little car like that, you really can't argue. It does have a minor oil leak, and you can see, that's what I hate about modern cars. See this goop here? Guess what that is? It's silicone sealer. Well, they're gonna have to replace that free. They didn't put the silicone sealer on right. That's the problem with silicone sealer. You put it on, you tighten them on, a lot of it comes out, sometimes too much comes out. It's got a tiny drip, nothing outrageous, but to have a new vehicle like this and have it leaking like that, that's something that you used to never see in Hondas. They used to have gaskets. They'd last years and years and years. This thing's only a year old now, and it's got a little bitty leak. More an annoyance than anything else. But it kind of shows that Honda's quality, maybe it isn't what it used to be. Now, this particular one was made in Canada, as you can see right here, and right here. It came from Elliston, Ontario. And you can see the transmission indeed was made in Mexico. So let's hope that CVT lasts. I haven't seen problems yet, but you never know. Push button start. Now, yes, it does have the electronic parking brake. I hate these things, but they're all going to it. And the transmission, as you can see, they do pretend there's gears. It doesn't have any gears. It's a CVT transmission. You can do it economic if you want to get better gas mileage, and you have the little green tree, and then otherwise it is normal if you push it to normal. First thing you're going to notice, smooth as can be. No shaky. Now, granted, this baby's new. You know, it's only got 12,261 miles on it. And I do have to say the cloth seats are immensely comfortable. For a Civic, a lot of leg room in the back. You can see he's got all this junk coming from Kansas. He did run over a rake on a highway that fell off a truck. He had to have the front tires replaced. You can't blame the vehicle on that. We'll see how it handles on the highway if that created any problems. Now, he wanted the base model, so as you can see, those are hubcaps. They're steel wheels there. He likes steel wheels. So really, they kind of hit him for an awful lot. 24 for a base model one. Now the backup camera works pretty good. It's kind of like the Toyota though. It's kind of out of place. It doesn't fit the rest of the car. I would have liked a dash integrated one instead of this sticking out, but what can you do? Now let's see what the CVT can do. Still feels relatively zippy, and as we corner, it's a Honda. It's got pretty good cornering, doesn't oversteer or understeer. We'll give it a little gas. And it takes off quite well, I do have to say. Now, it's not as fast as a regular geared transmission because it doesn't have any gears inside. So when you stop on it, you don't get the gear shift that you get in a normal car. And it does, once you get going a little bit faster, tend to over rev. A lot of these CVTs, they just over rev when they're taking off. See, it revs real high. You wouldn't get that in a geared transmission. But then again, in a geared transmission, you're not going to be getting 40 miles a gallon driving around either. Take it out to the countryside here. Nobody's coming. Here we go. We're headed to our little drag strip. Okay, there's nobody behind us. Look around, nobody. Here we go to the drag strip and go. Not overwhelming. You see it did a fake shift there. Now, it does take off decently, but at very high RPMs. That's the problem with the CVT transmissions. They're not really geared for fast takeoff. They're more for gas mileage. Now, let's see. We're going 46, 45. Let's see what happens in passing gear. We'll hit it. You see it revs high, and it takes off. You get going zippy enough. It's not bad. I personally would prefer an actual geared transmission. Not necessarily a manual shifter, but one that had regular gears. But this is what Honda's gone to it, just like Toyota. You can only get a Corolla now with a CVT. You can't get one with an actual automatic transmission. You can still get a Toyota Camry with a 8-speed transmission, and you can get a regular RAV4 non-hybrid with an 8-speed transmission. But with the Civics and with Toyota Corollas, CVTs, That's pretty much all there is if you're buying a new car. And I do have to say, this Tri is better than the earlier Hondas. Has a lot more acceleration. I'm not going to argue that. And gets really good gas mileage. I'm personally just not a fan. It's a fun little car to drive in the twisties, though, I do have to say. And as lightweight as these Civics are, the braking systems are more than adequate for any kind of driving you're going to run into. Smooth as silk idling. You can see the engine's still running. It's just smooth. You feel like the engine's not even running. And here we go again, taking off. Give it a little gas. It actually makes a lot more noise than it does acceleration. That's why I don't like CVT transmissions. I'm a driver and I like a serious driving car. I just don't like this high revving slippage. It's not for me. You can see me driving like a maniac because gas mileage has gone from 40 miles a gallon to 36.7 miles, and I've only driven about 1.5 miles so far, so you can make the gas mileage go down if you drive like a maniac, even with a CVT transmission. Just have the lane departure. See, now it's saying lane departure. It's warning me. It's made the steering wheel shake to warn me. So that system's working pretty good. And it does have the speed limit too. Long, boring light. Here, up, there it goes. At least we got a green arrow. And here we go on a little curvy road. Does make a lot of noise going, but it goes. And like I said, it's a nice handling car. I just personally would like it to have actual gears. It would be a much more enjoyable and accelerating driving experience than the CV transmission that basically makes the engine rev too high and makes a lot of noise. So there is a possible problem. This baby's transmission was made in Mexico. Always makes me kind of wonder. I gotta say, road noise is about average for a small sedan. I'd say that it's about the same sound as the Toyota Corolla. My son's Toyota Corolla sounds about the same bit of loudness. Now really, this 2022 Honda Civic goes a long way from the original Honda Civic. I worked on them and drove them. But my question is, has it really gone far enough for all those years and changes that have gone on? Basically, I'd say the transmission is a step backward myself. So what do I think of this 2022 Civic? Well, let me tell you. Okay, $24,000. It's a lower priced car. I don't like the CVT transmission. And the owner, he's not happy that it not only doesn't even have an oil warning light, it doesn't have a temperature gauge either. They're kind of cheapening up. Now, Nissan did that 20 years ago on some of their cheap cars. They got rid of the temperature gauge, they got rid of the oil, and some of the Nissans, they even got rid of the turn signal indicators inside the car. Because I rented one once, and I'm putting them on, I'm like, these stupid turn signals don't work. And then I go outside, well, they're working outside, and then I realize there's nothing inside to tell you. You just have to listen to the clickety-click-click. And to top it all off, that Nissan only had one backup light on it. It had one backup light instead of two. I guess legally you can get away with that, right? But, I mean, it's a beautiful car. It handles fine. I would personally just wish that it had some other kind of transmission in it. Because one, I don't like CVTs. And I would personally be very suspect that those things were made in Mexico. I don't trust things made in Mexico. I don't mind them putting it together. Right? It's fine. You get a Toyota Tacoma and they bolt it together in Mexico. But I have second thoughts about that myself. Now, we'll see over time how this thing holds up for him. You know, it's a Civic. It'll probably be pretty good and last a long time. I just don't like that transmission. You compare it to the Corolla transmission that has the launch gear and then a CVT, that's another story. Those things take off like gangbusters, then they go from a regular gear to the CVT once they're out of first gear. I don't mind those CVT transmissions, but this is a straight CVT transmission. I just don't like the way it feels. If you're the type of person who wants a standard transportation device, you're not racing anybody, you'll probably be like him. You'll get used to it, and what the heck? You're getting 40 miles a gallon on the highway, get you where you're going, you don't care. But me, I'm more of a driver, and I like gears, right? I'd rather have manual transmission, but my wife doesn't like that, so we got automatics. But all our automatics, at least so far, have actual gears in them. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.